50 most heartthrob actors of the 1980s and 1990s, then and now. They were the crushes, the icons, the faces that defined an era. From smouldering rebels to charming rom-com kings, these actors ruled the 80s and 90s. But where are they now? Some aged like fine wine, still stealing scenes. Others stepped away, their star fading into mystery. And a few? Their transformations will leave you speechless. Get ready for a trip down memory lane, because we're about to reveal the 50 most heartthrob actors of the 80s and 90s. Then and now, who aged gracefully, who disappeared, and who's making an epic comeback? Let's find out. Bruce Willis. Bruce Willis was the ultimate everyman hero, exuding rugged charm and devil-may-care confidence. His breakout role as wisecracking cop John McClane in Die Hard, 1988, redefined the action genre, making him a symbol of tough guy cool. With his smirk, shaved head, and undeniable charisma, he ruled the 90s, starring in hits like Pulp Fiction and Armageddon. In recent years, Willis retired from acting due to aphasia, a heartbreaking diagnosis that affected his communication abilities. Though out of the spotlight, his legendary performances endure, cementing his status as one of Hollywood's most beloved action icons. Charlie Sheen. In the 1980s, Charlie Sheen was the embodiment of Hollywood cool. With his smoldering eyes and rebellious charm, he skyrocketed to fame in iconic films like Platoon, 1986, and Wall Street, 1987. As the charismatic bad boy, Sheen captivated audiences, becoming a teen idol and setting fashion trends with his effortlessly edgy style. His wit and swagger made him a heartthrob, defining an era of cinematic anti-heroes. In the 2000s, Sheen reinvented himself with television success in 2.5 Men. Although his personal struggles often overshadowed his career, he remains a cultural icon today, embracing sobriety and advocacy. Matt Dillon epitomized brooding cool, his smoldering gaze and rebellious edge, making him a teen idol of the 80s. His breakout roles in The Outsiders, 1983, and Rumble Fish, 1983, solidified his status as Hollywood's resident bad boy. Transitioning seamlessly into the 90s, he embraced darker, complex characters in Drugstore Cowboy and There's Something About Mary, proving his versatility. Now in his 60s, Dillon remains active in Hollywood, taking on indie films and directing projects. Though no longer the youthful rebel, his cinematic legacy endures, and his effortless cool still captivates longtime fans and new audiences alike. Michael J. Fox. Michael J. Fox was the quintessential boy-next-door heartthrob of the 1980s. With his infectious smile and relatable charm, he became a household name as Alex P. Keaton on Family Ties. However, it was his role as Marty McFly in Back to the Future, 1985, that catapulted him to superstardom, blending humor, adventure, and charisma. His youthful energy and everyman appeal made him a beloved icon, influencing pop culture and fashion trends. Today, Fox is admired not only for his acting legacy but also for his courage in battling Parkinson's disease. He continues to inspire through advocacy and heartfelt memoirs. Emilio Estevez. Emilio Estevez was the charismatic leader of the Brat Pack, his boyish charm and undeniable talent making him a standout in 80s classics like The Breakfast Club, 1985, and St. Elmo's Fire, 1985. He balanced teen heartthrob status with action-packed roles in Young Guns and later charmed a new generation as Coach Bombay in the Mighty Ducks series. Unlike many of his peers, Estevez stepped away from Hollywood's limelight, focusing on directing and independent films. Though he keeps a lower profile, his legacy as an 80s icon remains strong, forever remembered as the cool, confident face of a generation. Dolph Lundgren. Dolph Lundgren burst onto the scene in the 1980s as the towering, stoic villain Ivan Drago in Rocky IV, 1985. His chiseled physique, icy glare, and commanding presence made him an unforgettable antagonist and an instant action star. Lundgren's portrayal of the Soviet powerhouse captivated audiences, solidifying his status as a global heartthrob and symbol of rugged masculinity. he continued to dominate the action genre with roles in Masters of the Universe and The Punisher. Today, Lundgren balances acting with directing and producing, frequently revisiting his action roots, including reprising Drago in Creed II, showcasing his enduring appeal. Mark Wahlberg. Mark Wahlberg stormed into the 90s spotlight with his chiseled physique and bad boy swagger, first as rapper Marky Mark, and then as a breakout actor in Boogie Nights, 1997. His rugged charm and streetwise edge made him a heartthrob, effortlessly transitioning into leading roles in The Perfect Storm and Three Kings. Today, Wahlberg remains a Hollywood powerhouse, balancing action films, comedies, and producing ventures. Known for his intense fitness regimen and business empire, he's evolved from teen idol to industry mogul. Though no longer the young rebel, his undeniable work ethic and star power keep him firmly in the spotlight. These heartthrobs stole our hearts in the 80s and 90s. But how do they look today? Drop a 1A in the comments and stick around until the end to see their transformations. Kiefer Sutherland. Kiefer Sutherland emerged as a brooding heartthrob in the 1980s with his rebellious charm and piercing gaze. He captivated audiences as the menacing yet magnetic vampire leader in The Lost Boys, 1987, embodying the era's edgy rock and roll cool. His roles in Stand By Me and Young Guns further solidified his image as Hollywood's quintessential bad boy, influencing fashion with his rugged style and tousled hair. Transitioning seamlessly into the 2000s, Sutherland reinvented himself as Jack Bauer in 24, earning critical acclaim and a devoted fan base. Today, he continues to act and pursue music, maintaining his iconic presence. Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise wasn't just a heartthrob, he was a phenomenon. With his megawatt smile and all-American charm, he skyrocketed to fame in the 80s with Top Gun, 1986, becoming the ultimate poster boy of cool. From Risky Business to Jerry Maguire, his mix of charisma and intensity kept audiences captivated through the 90s. Decades later, Cruise remains Hollywood's ultimate action star, performing daring stunts in Mission Impossible and proving his staying power with Top Gun Maverick. At 60+, his relentless dedication and ageless energy keep him at the top, cementing his status as a true cinematic legend. Brad Pitt. Brad Pitt burst into the spotlight in the early 1990s as the epitome of rugged charm and effortless cool. His breakthrough role as the seductive drifter in Thelma and Louise, 1991, made him an instant heartthrob with his golden locks and mischievous smile capturing global attention. Pitt's undeniable charisma and versatile talent led to iconic performances in Legends of the Fall, Interview with the Vampire, and Fight Club, cementing his status as a Hollywood heavyweight. Today, Pitt remains a cinematic icon, balancing acclaimed acting roles with successful producing ventures. Aging gracefully, he continues to captivate audiences worldwide. Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp was the enigmatic heartthrob of the 90s, captivating audiences with his brooding looks and offbeat charm. From Edward Scissorhands, 1990, to Donnie Brasco, 1997, he became Hollywood's go-to for quirky, rebellious roles. His unconventional appeal and effortless cool made him a generational icon. Despite personal and legal battles in recent years, Depp remains a revered actor. After a brief hiatus, he returned to the screen, focusing on independent films and music. Though no longer the mainstream superstar, his legacy as a mesmerizing chameleon-like performer remains untouched. Keanu Reeves. Keanu Reeves embodied the soulful heartthrob, blending boyish charm with effortless cool. He stole hearts in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, 1989, before solidifying his action hero status in Speed, 1994, and The Matrix, 1999. His quiet intensity and kind-hearted persona made him a beloved Hollywood fixture. Decades later, Reeves remains a global superstar, reinventing himself with John Wick while maintaining his humble, down-to-earth appeal. Now in his 60s, he's proof that kindness and authenticity never go out of style. Fans still adore him, not just for his roles, but for the genuine soul behind them. Patrick Swayze. Patrick Swayze was the embodiment of rugged charm and graceful masculinity in the 1980s. His breakout role as dance instructor Johnny Castle in Dirty Dancing, 1987, made hearts flutter, combining raw sensuality with tender vulnerability. With his piercing gaze and athletic elegance, he became a cultural icon, influencing dance trends and romantic fantasies. Swayze's versatility shone in Ghost, 1990, where his emotional depth solidified his status as a beloved leading man. Though he passed away in 2009, Swayze's legacy endures through his unforgettable performances and timeless appeal, remembered as one of Hollywood's most cherished heartthrobs. Richard Gere. Richard Gere defined sophisticated sensuality in the 1980s, becoming a silver screen icon with his suave portrayal of Julian Kay in American Gigolo, 1980. His smoldering eyes, effortless charm and polished style set him apart as Hollywood's ultimate leading man. Gere's magnetic presence continued in Pretty Woman, 1990, where his romantic chemistry with Julia Roberts captivated audiences worldwide. His graceful demeanor and classic good looks made him a fashion trendsetter and a timeless heartthrob. Today, Gere remains active in film, embracing mature roles that showcase his depth. Off-screen, he's celebrated for his humanitarian work and enduring charisma. Mel Gibson. Mel Gibson was the ultimate rugged heartthrob of the 80s and 90s, blending charm with raw intensity. He became a household name as the fearless Max Rokitansky in Mad Max, 1979, and cemented his star power as the wisecracking yet tortured Martin Riggs in Lethal Weapon. His Oscar-winning work in Braveheart, 1995, showcased his talent both in front of and behind the camera. Though controversies impacted his career, Gibson has made a quiet resurgence in Hollywood, directing and acting in select projects. Despite ups and downs, his legacy as a charismatic action star remains undeniable. Leonardo DiCaprio. Leonardo DiCaprio wasn't just a heartthrob, he was an obsession. With his boyish good looks and undeniable talent, he became the ultimate 90s icon in Romeo plus Juliet, 1996, and Titanic, 1997. His piercing gaze and emotional depth made him Hollywood's golden boy, with fans worldwide swooning over his every move. Unlike many teen idols, DiCaprio evolved into one of the industry's most respected actors. Now an Oscar-winning powerhouse, he continues to dominate with roles in Inception, The Revenant, and Killers of the Flower Moon. Though older, his star power and ability to set hearts racing remains as strong as ever. Val Kilmer. Val Kilmer captivated audiences in the 1980s with his chiseled features and enigmatic charm. He first gained attention as the cocky Iceman in Top Gun, 1986, where his cool confidence and rivalry with Tom Cruise became legendary. Kilmer's versatility shone through in Willow, and his electrifying portrayal of Jim Morrison in The Doors, 1991, solidifying his status as a cinematic chameleon and heartthrob. In recent years, Kilmer has battled health challenges but continues to inspire with his resilience. He made a heartfelt return as Iceman in Top Gun Maverick, 2022, reminding fans of his enduring legacy. Kurt Russell. Kurt Russell became the quintessential action hero and rugged heartthrob in the 1980s. With his charismatic swagger and signature mullet, he redefined cool as Snake Plissken in Escape from New York, 1981, and charmed audiences in Big Trouble in Little China. Russell's roguish charm and sharp wit made him an icon of adventure and comedy, influencing pop culture with his bold characters. Today, Russell remains a beloved Hollywood veteran, seamlessly transitioning into mature roles, including memorable performances in The Hateful Eight and Guardians of the Galaxy Vol. 2. His ageless charisma continues to captivate fans worldwide. Matthew McConaughey. Matthew McConaughey was the definition of effortless charm, his southern drawl and easygoing swagger making him a 90s heartthrob. He stole scenes in Dazed and Confused, 1993, before becoming Hollywood's rom-com king with hits like The Wedding Planner and How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. His sun-kissed looks and devil-may-care attitude made him irresistible. In the 2010s, McConaughey reinvented himself with powerhouse performances in Dallas Buyers Club and True Detective, earning an Oscar and newfound respect. Though he stepped back from acting recently, his magnetic presence and signature, all right, remain legendary. Did Matthew McConaughey completely reinvent himself from rom-com star to serious actor? Yes or no? Let's hear your take. Harrison Ford. Harrison Ford wasn't just a heartthrob, he was a legend. As Han Solo in Star Wars and Indiana Jones, he defined adventure, combining rugged good looks with a roguish grin. His effortless cool made him one of the most bankable stars of the 80s and 90s, ruling the box office with The Fugitive and Air Force One. Now in his 80s, Ford remains unstoppable, reprising beloved roles and proving age is just a number. Whether piloting planes or stealing scenes, he's still the daring hero fans fell for decades ago, his legacy cemented as one of Hollywood's greatest icons. Christian Slater. Christian Slater burst onto the scene in the late 1980s with his rebellious charisma and devil-may-care grin. His breakout role as the darkly charming JD in Heathers, 1989, made him an instant cult icon embodying the ultimate bad boy with a James Dean allure. Slater's edgy performances in Pump Up the Volume and True Romance solidified his heartthrob status, influencing teen culture with his leather jackets and tousled hair. Today, Slater enjoys a career resurgence, earning acclaim for his role in Mr. Robot. He continues to impress with versatile roles, maintaining his timeless charisma. Rob Lowe. Rob Lowe epitomized the 80s heartthrob with his piercing blue eyes and flawless smile. Rising to fame as a member of the Brat Pack, he captured hearts in films like The Outsiders, 1983, and St. Elmo's Fire, 1985. His boyish charm and effortless style made him a teen idol, influencing fashion trends and gracing countless magazine covers. Lowe's charismatic screen presence defined an era of coming-of-age classics. Reinventing himself in television, Lowe earned acclaim on The West Wing and Parks and Recreation. Aging gracefully, he continues to charm audiences with his wit, humor, and enduring good looks. Denzel Washington. Denzel Washington wasn't just a heartthrob, he was a force of nature. With his commanding presence, smoldering intensity, and undeniable talent, he became a leading man in the 90s with Malcolm X, 1992, The Pelican Brief, 1993, and The Bone Collector, 1999. His deep voice, piercing gaze, and effortless confidence made him irresistible. Now in his late 60s, Washington remains a powerhouse, delivering gripping performances in The Equalizer series and Fences. As one of Hollywood's most respected actors, his legacy isn't just about looks, it's about excellence, proving true charisma never fades. Antonio Banderas. Antonio Banderas was the epitome of Latin passion, his smoldering eyes and silky accent making him a 90s heartthrob. Bursting onto the Hollywood scene with Desperado, 1995, and The Mask of Zorro, 1998, he embodied suave, mysterious charm, setting hearts racing worldwide. Now in his 60s, Banderas continues to captivate, balancing Hollywood blockbusters with acclaimed dramatic roles. Whether voicing Puss in Boots or earning Oscar nods, his magnetic allure remains untouched. With his signature charm and timeless appeal, he's proof that some heartthrobs never lose their fire. Kevin Costner. Kevin Costner emerged as the all-American heartthrob of the late 1980s with his rugged charm and undeniable charisma. His breakout role in The Untouchables, 1987, showcased his stoic intensity, while Bull Durham and Field of Dreams cemented his status as the quintessential leading man. Costner's natural ease and relatable masculinity resonated with audiences, making him a symbol of strength and sincerity. Today, Costner continues to captivate viewers as John Dutton in Yellowstone, embracing mature, complex roles. His legacy as a Hollywood icon endures, marked by his versatility, timeless appeal, and storytelling prowess. David Hasselhoff. David Hasselhoff became a global sensation in the 1980s with his heroic role as Michael Knight in Knight Rider, showcasing charm, wit, and adventure. However, it was his role as lifeguard Mitch Buchanan in Baywatch that solidified his heartthrob status, running along sandy shores in slow motion. With his chiseled physique and confident smile, the Hoff became an international pop culture icon, influencing beachwear trends and attracting a massive fan base. Today, Hasselhoff embraces his legendary status with humor and nostalgia, appearing in guest roles and maintaining his presence in music and entertainment, cherished for his charismatic legacy. If you like this video, drop a 9 in the comment. Nicolas Cage. Nicolas Cage was the unconventional heartthrob, blending rugged intensity with a wild, unpredictable energy. He stole hearts in Moonstruck, 1987, and Wild at Heart, 1990, before becoming an action star in The Rock, 1996, Con Air, 1997, and Face Off, 1997. His offbeat charm and fearless performances made him one of Hollywood's most compelling leading men. Though his career saw ups and downs, Cage has experienced a renaissance with acclaimed roles in Pig, 2021, and Dream Scenario, 2023. Now an internet icon and cult favorite, his eccentric charisma continues to fascinate, proving he's anything but ordinary. Billy Zane. Billy Zane was the suave, mysterious heartthrob with a magnetic screen presence. He gained early attention in Dead Calm, 1989, before achieving worldwide fame as the impeccably dressed yet villainous Cal Hockley in Titanic, 1997. His piercing gaze and aristocratic charm made him unforgettable. Though he never became a Hollywood A-lister, Zane has remained active in film and television, embracing character roles and indie projects. Now in his late 50s, he continues to exude effortless sophistication, proving that charisma isn't just about blockbuster fame, it's about timeless presence. Viggo Mortensen. Viggo Mortensen mesmerized audiences in the early 2000s as Aragorn in the Lord of the Rings trilogy. With his rugged good looks, piercing gaze, and heroic presence, he became the embodiment of noble masculinity. Mortensen's nuanced performance and quiet intensity made him an instant heartthrob, inspiring a devoted fan base. His artistic spirit and multilingual talents added to his mystique, setting him apart as a thoughtful leading man. Currently, Mortensen continues to challenge himself with diverse roles in independent films. As a director and author, he showcases his creative depth, remaining a captivating and influential figure. Timothy Dalton. Timothy Dalton brought brooding sophistication to the James Bond franchise in the late 1980s with The Living Daylights, 1987, and License to Kill, 1989. His intense gaze, refined demeanor, and darker portrayal of 007 redefined the suave spy for a new generation. Dalton's commanding presence and classic good looks made him a distinguished heartthrob, exuding a dangerous allure. These days, Dalton remains active in television and film, embracing complex roles, including his standout performance in Doom Patrol. His dignified charm and timeless elegance continue to resonate, preserving his legacy as one of the most captivating Bonds. James Marsden. James Marsden was the underrated heartthrob, blending classic good looks with undeniable charm. He stole scenes in X-Men, 2000, as Cyclops and Melted Hearts in The Notebook, 2004, playing the too-perfect-to-hate fiancé. His striking blue eyes and effortless charisma made him a staple in early 2000s romantic films. Unlike many teen idols, Marsden has aged like fine wine, seamlessly transitioning into diverse roles in Westworld, Jury Duty, and Disenchanted. Now in his 50s, he continues to captivate audiences, proving that some heartthrobs don't fade, they just get better with time. Scott Speedman. Scott Speedman became a late 90s heartthrob as the brooding, blue-eyed Ben Covington on Felicity, 1998, making fans swoon over his effortless cool. His rugged appeal carried into the 2000s with Underworld, 2003, where he embraced action-packed supernatural roles while maintaining his romantic lead status. Though he stepped away from the spotlight for a time, Speedman has made a strong return with roles in Grey's Anatomy and You. Now in his late 40s, he remains a low-key heartthrob, still turning heads with his signature mix of mystery and charm. Paul Rudd. Paul Rudd charmed his way into hearts in the 1990s with his boyish smile and irresistible wit. He first gained attention as the lovable Josh in Clueless, 1995, where his laid-back charm and quick humor made him an instant heartthrob. Rudd's everyman appeal and ageless look cemented his status as the guy-next-door crush, effortlessly balancing comedy and romance. Nowadays, Rudd defies time as Marvel's Ant-Man, blending heroism with his signature humor. His charismatic presence and down-to-earth demeanor continue to endear him to fans, solidifying his place as one of Hollywood's most beloved leading men. Ben Affleck. Ben Affleck rose to fame in the late 1990s as a charismatic talent with chiseled good looks. His breakthrough role in Good Will Hunting, 1997, which he co-wrote, showcased his wit and intelligence, earning him an Oscar. With his rugged charm and confident swagger, Affleck became a romantic lead in films like Armageddon and Pearl Harbor, influencing fashion with his effortless style. Currently, Affleck continues to thrive as both an actor and director, acclaimed for roles in Gone Girl and The Way Back. His mature performances and creative vision solidify his status as a Hollywood powerhouse. Matt Damon. Matt Damon was the boy-next-door heartthrob with a genius edge. Bursting into fame with Good Will Hunting, 1997, his mix of intellect, charm, and everyman appeal made him an instant star. He carried that momentum into the 90s and 2000s with Saving Private Ryan and the talented Mr. Ripley, proving he could handle action, drama, and romance effortlessly. Now in his 50s, Damon remains a Hollywood mainstay, starring in Oppenheimer and continuing the Bourne legacy. With his down-to-earth personality and enduring talent, he's aged gracefully, proving that intelligence and authenticity never go out of style. Hugh Grant. Hugh Grant was the king of 90s romantic comedies, his floppy hair, charming stammer, and self-deprecating wit making him irresistible. From Four Weddings and a Funeral, 1994, to Notting Hill, 1999, and Bridget Jones's Diary, 2001, he perfected the art of the swoon-worthy yet slightly bumbling leading man. Now in his 60s, Grant has reinvented himself with darker, more eccentric roles in Paddington 2 and The Undoing. While no longer the rom-com heartthrob, his suave presence and sharp comedic timing keep him as captivating as ever. Alan Rickman. Alan Rickman's velvety voice and piercing gaze made him one of cinema's most magnetic villains. He burst onto the scene as the sophisticatedly sinister Hans Gruber in Die Hard, 1988, captivating audiences with his elegance and wit. Rickman's ability to blend menace with charm redefined the antagonist archetype, while his portrayal of the brooding Severus Snape in the Harry Potter series added emotional complexity, securing his place as a beloved icon. Though Rickman passed away in 2016, his legacy endures through his unforgettable performances. He remains celebrated for his remarkable talent, charisma, and dignified screen presence. Liam Neeson. Liam Neeson captivated audiences in the 1990s with his commanding presence and soulful intensity. His powerful portrayal of Oscar Schindler in Schindler's List, 1993, earned him critical acclaim and showcased his emotional depth. Tall, rugged, and unmistakably charismatic, Neeson became a symbol of stoic masculinity, seamlessly transitioning from dramatic roles to action hero status with Taken. Today, Neeson continues to dominate the action genre while exploring nuanced characters in dramas. His magnetic screen presence and gravitas keep him at the forefront of Hollywood, proving his timeless appeal and extraordinary versatility as an actor. Jeff Bridges. Jeff Bridges was the effortlessly cool heartthrob, blending rugged masculinity with soulful depth. He captivated audiences in Tron, 1982, and Starman, 1984, but it was his Oscar-nominated role in The Fabulous Baker Boys, 1989, that cemented his romantic lead status. His laid-back charm carried into the 90s with The Big Lebowski, 1998, making him an enduring cult icon. Now in his 70s, Bridges remains a beloved Hollywood figure, overcoming health battles while continuing to deliver standout performances. His signature charisma, grizzled voice, and undeniable presence prove that true cool only deepens with time. Chris O'Donnell. Chris O'Donnell was the clean-cut, all-American heartthrob of the 90s. With his boyish good looks and charming sincerity, he won hearts in Scent of a Woman, 1992, and as Robin in Batman Forever, 1995. His wholesome appeal made him a favorite in romantic dramas like Circle of Friends, 1995. Though he stepped away from the Hollywood spotlight, O'Donnell found lasting success on television, starring in NCIS Los Angeles for over a decade. Now in his 50s, he's embraced a steady career, proving that while his heartthrob days may have passed, his likability remains timeless. Stephen Dorff. Stephen Dorff emerged as a brooding heartthrob in the 1990s, with his intense gaze and rebellious charm. He gained attention with his haunting performance in The Power of One, 1992, but truly captivated audiences as the seductive vampire villain Deacon Frost in Blade, 1998. His edgy style and magnetic presence made him a standout in the era of anti-heroes, embodying a raw, dangerous allure. Currently, Dorff continues to showcase his versatility in both indie films and mainstream projects. His compelling performances and enigmatic charisma keep him relevant, solidifying his status as an enduring Hollywood maverick. Cary Elwes. Cary Elwes became the quintessential romantic hero in the 1980s with his dashing portrayal of Wesley in The Princess Bride, 1987. With his charming smile, sparkling blue eyes, and effortless wit, Elwes brought fairy tale fantasy to life, making audiences swoon. His swashbuckling charisma and timeless appeal solidified his status as a beloved leading man, influencing romantic comedy archetypes. These days, Elwes continues to delight fans with roles in film and television, including nostalgic appearances in Stranger Things. His ageless charm and warm humor keep him cherished by generations, celebrating his legacy as a cinematic prince. Clive Owen. Clive Owen was the brooding, effortlessly suave heartthrob of the late 90s and early 2000s. With his piercing gaze and sophisticated charm, he made a lasting impression in Croupier, 1998, before gaining mainstream fame in Closer, 2004, and Sin City, 2005. His rugged, James Bond-esque appeal made him a fan favorite for intense dramas and thrillers. Now in his 50s, Owen continues to take on compelling roles in film and television, including Impeachment, American Crime Story. Though not always in the limelight, his refined, smoldering presence remains as captivating as ever. Alan Thicke. Alan Thicke was the quintessential TV dad with undeniable heartthrob appeal, best known as Dr. Jason Seaver on Growing Pains, 1985-1992. His suave charm, warm smile, and deep voice made him a favorite among audiences. While primarily recognized for television, his effortless charisma extended to hosting, songwriting, and guest appearances. Thicke remained active in entertainment until his sudden passing in 2016. Though gone, his legacy as a beloved 80s icon and TV's ultimate cool dad endures, leaving behind fond memories for fans who grew up watching him. Dermot Mulroney. Dermot Mulroney became the quintessential romantic lead in the 1990s, known for his rugged handsomeness and soulful, expressive eyes. He stole hearts as the charming best friend in My Best Friend's Wedding, 1997, bringing warmth and sincerity to the role. Mulroney's natural charisma and understated appeal made him a relatable heartthrob, effortlessly blending sensitivity with masculine allure. Currently, Mulroney continues to impress with diverse roles in film and television, balancing romantic leads with dramatic character work. His timeless charm and versatile talent keep him relevant, solidifying his reputation as a dependable and captivating actor. Winning the lottery is a dream come true until it turns into a total nightmare. Some winners blow millions in record time, while others land themselves in jail or worse. From reckless spending sprees to jaw-dropping betrayals, these stories prove that luck can only take you so far. How do you go from millionaire to broke, or even behind bars? You won't believe the insane ways these winners lost it all. Get ready for shocking twists, wild mistakes, and some of the dumbest decisions ever made. Strap in, this is dumbest lottery winners of all time. Justin Ryder. Even young children understand that just because cartoon characters survive jumping off rooftops, it doesn't mean they should try it themselves. However, Justin Ryder somehow reached adulthood without grasping this concept. He developed an unusual fixation on Austin Powers in Goldmember, setting his sights on achieving a literal gold member. When he unexpectedly came into $600,000, he saw it as the perfect chance to fulfill this bizarre ambition. Instead of using actual gold, he seemed more interested in the appearance, settling for lead-based paint to coat his private parts. At first, Justin carried on as usual, but when things started feeling off, he went out and purchased a different product, this time containing real gold. Rather than removing the first layer, he decided to simply paint over it, possibly too busy to bother with the extra step. Before long, he was discovered dead. The culprit? Fatal lead poisoning from the initial coat. It likely wasn't the outcome he imagined, but at least he achieved the gleaming look he had always dreamed of. A strange way to meet one's end, don't you think? Alicia Battle. She had a long history of run-ins with the law, having already been arrested for assault, credit card fraud, and vandalizing cars. But in 2003, she attempted her boldest crime yet. When the Mega Millions jackpot reached $162 million and the winning ticket was announced, Alicia saw an opportunity. She remembered buying a losing ticket from the same store that had sold the jackpot winner. When no one immediately claimed the prize, she decided to step forward, insisting she had won but had unfortunately lost her ticket. Strangers rallied to support her, offering help while she officially reported her supposed misfortune to the police. Meanwhile, the actual winners were taking their time, consulting financial advisors before making their claim. When they finally stepped forward, Alicia's lie unraveled, exposing her deception. Instead of millions, she walked away with yet another criminal charge, this time for filing a false police report. Did she really think she could pull that off? Joe Antonio Cuetok. While he didn't hit the largest jackpot in history, winning a $750,000 prize from the Georgia lottery is still a significant amount. That sum could make a huge difference, especially for someone like Joe, who was living in the country illegally. Hold on, what? If you're wondering whether undocumented immigrants can legally claim lottery winnings, the short answer is no, they can't. That makes buying a ticket a risky move, but Joe must have thought he had a clever solution. Instead of claiming the prize himself, he asked his employer to collect the winnings on his behalf. Unfortunately for Joe, things didn't go as planned. His boss decided to keep the entire sum rather than hand it over, and when you're in the country unlawfully, there's not much you can do about someone stealing your winnings. Joe, however, refused to accept that outcome. Enraged, he took legal action against his boss, a decision that led to his biggest and final mistake. The lawsuit exposed his undocumented status, and as a result, he was not only deported but also sent to prison. His situation became even worse after authorities discovered that he had threatened to kill his boss's family over the stolen money. It's almost astonishing just how many disastrous choices Joe managed to make. Evelyn Bezor. Winning the lottery once is already rare, but winning twice, that's exactly what happened to Evelyn Bezor. Her first big win came in 1985, when she hit an enormous jackpot worth $3.9 million. Just 4 months later, lightning struck again and she walked away with another jackpot, this time worth $1.4 million. With that kind of fortune, she could have lived comfortably for the rest of her life. However, while Evelyn had incredible luck, she didn't have the financial wisdom to match. She gave away large portions of her winnings, but her worst decision was sinking most of the remaining money into gambling. Perhaps she believed that since the lottery had already brought her riches twice, it was her best strategy for making even more. Unfortunately, anyone could have told her that kind of luck wouldn't strike a third time. Now she's completely broke, juggling 2 jobs just to afford basic necessities while living in a trailer park. Despite everything, she still plays the lottery. Who knows? Maybe the third time will be the charm. At least Evelyn avoided one major pitfall. She played by the rules when purchasing her tickets. That's more than can be said for our next winner. This countdown gets crazier with every story. Comment 1 to let us know you're here, and don't miss the full chaos by staying till the very end. Christina Goodenow. Christina Goodenow had the kind of luck most people dream about, winning $1 million on an Oregon lottery scratch-off ticket. Sounds incredible, right? It might have been if not for one glaring issue. She bought the ticket using a credit card that belonged to her deceased boyfriend's mother. Using a stolen credit card is illegal no matter what the purchase, and Christina's decision made her win anything but legitimate. Her troubles didn't end there. The moment she claimed the prize, authorities grew suspicious. After all, a dead woman had apparently bought a winning ticket. When investigators tracked Christina down, they uncovered far more than just a stolen credit card. She had an extensive history of crime, leading to charges of identity theft, forgery, theft, computer fraud, and parole violation. As if that wasn't enough, law enforcement also discovered a significant stash of meth in her possession. If she wasn't smart enough to hide the drugs before the authorities arrived, she probably deserved what was coming. Making reckless choices is one thing, but the next person on our list had children depending on them. Gerald Muswagon. Canadian Gerald Muswagon turned a $2 lottery ticket into a life-changing fortune when he won a $10 million jackpot in 2011. But instead of securing his future, he managed to squander it all within just a few years. He purchased a house that quickly became a non-stop party hub, filled with an ever-expanding circle of freeloaders. His winnings vanished on extravagant gifts, luxury cars, and an endless stream of partying, all while accumulating multiple legal troubles. As his fortune dwindled, Gerald found himself struggling to make ends meet. In the end, he was forced to take on manual labor at a farm just to provide for his girlfriend and 6 young children. Only 7 years after his massive win, tragedy struck. Parents' garage. His story is one of many examples of lottery winners whose lives ended in heartbreak. Whether it was bad luck or the so-called lottery curse, the next person on our list met a similarly grim fate. Amanda Clayton. Amanda Clayton was facing serious hardships in her early 20s. Struggling to get by, she relied on state welfare and food stamps just to afford basic necessities. Her situation seemed bleak until something incredible happened. She won $1 million through Michigan Lottery's Make Me Rich game. With that kind of money, she had the opportunity to completely change her life. Instead, she made a decision that was unbelievably reckless. A few years after her big win, a local news station exposed that she was still collecting welfare benefits and using food stamps, despite not being financially destitute. She simply wanted to have it both ways, keeping her newfound wealth while continuing to take government aid. It didn't take long for her to face legal consequences. She lost her case in court, received a 9-month probation sentence, and was hit with a fine for her fraudulent actions. Tragically, just a year later, Amanda's life came to an even darker end. She was found dead from a drug overdose. It's an unfortunate outcome, but as the next person on our list proves, many lottery winners end up being the architects of their own downfall. Tonda Lynn Dickerson. This story began at a Waffle House where a close-knit group of waitresses had bonded over the years. One of their regular customers had an unusual tipping habit. He would give them lottery tickets instead of cash, but only under one condition. If they won big, they'd split the money and buy him a new truck. They never expected anything to come of it. Until one day, they were proven wrong. The next morning, one of the waitresses checked her ticket and discovered it was worth $10 million. The problem? The winning ticket was in Tonda's possession, and she had no intention of sharing. Naturally, the other waitresses were furious. They felt robbed, not just of their potential fortune, but of their trust in someone they once considered a friend. Determined to fight back, they took legal action against Tonda, but they ultimately lost, leaving her with the entire jackpot. When the customer who had gifted the ticket learned about her betrayal, he was outraged. Refusing to let her get away with it, he sued her, arguing that she had agreed to buy him a truck. The case even reached the Supreme Court, but once again Tonda won. However, her luck ran out when she attempted to secure her wealth by forming a corporation, then unknowingly made a costly mistake by gifting shares to her family. That triggered a gift tax, and when the IRS caught wind of the unpaid amount, she was forced to cough up $1 million. Her co-workers never got a dime, but at least she didn't walk away completely unscathed. If nothing else, Tonda tried to hold on to her money, but the next person on our list had a very different approach. Sharon Tirabassi. In 2004, Sharon Tirabassi hit the jackpot in Canada's Lotto Super 7, winning an incredible $10.5 million. However, in the years that followed, her fortune quickly disappeared due to extravagant spending and an expensive lifestyle overhaul. Believing her wealth would last forever, she splurged on luxury vacations, high-end cars, lavish homes, and generous handouts, until there was nothing left. By 2013, her winnings had completely vanished, and she found herself commuting by bus to a part-time job just to provide for her children. Given her role as a mother, one might have expected her to make wiser financial choices. It's certainly an unusual way for a parent to handle such a life-changing windfall. But if you think her story is surprising, just wait until you hear about the next winners on our list. Laura and Roger Griffiths. Laura and Roger Griffiths seemed to have it all when they won a £2.19 million lottery jackpot in the UK. However, their marriage crumbled in less than 10 years, proving that money doesn't always bring happiness. Roger decided to chase his dream of becoming a rock star, pouring large amounts of money into producing an album with his band. Meanwhile, Laura embraced a lavish lifestyle, indulging in luxury cars, a $1 million home, designer fashion, and an expensive private education for their daughter. The couple also invested hundreds of thousands into opening a salon, but as their finances dwindled, Laura found herself working there as just another employee, struggling to stay afloat. In the end, their wealth was gone, their relationship was in ruins, and they were left with less than $10 between them. When people say to follow your dreams, this probably isn't what they meant. The next winner on our list already had his dreams come true and still managed to throw everything away. Daniel Carley. Canadian lottery winner Daniel Carley got the shock of his life when he scratched off his Ontario lottery ticket and discovered he had won big. $5 million, Canadian dollars, or about $4.4 million in US currency. That kind of windfall must have felt incredible. He was in his prime, engaged to the mother of his unborn child, surrounded by friends and family, and his future seemed bright. To celebrate, he headed to the bar he co-owned with his father, throwing a massive party with his friends. But for Daniel, the celebration never really ended. Instead, he spent the next decade partying non-stop, ultimately blowing an estimated $1 million on drugs. When the money finally dried up, he turned to drug trafficking in a desperate attempt to sustain his habits. Eventually, the law caught up with him and he was sentenced to a few years in prison. Ironically, that may have been the best thing that happened to him, as it forced him to get clean from the destructive cocktail of substances he had been abusing. When serving time in jail ends up being a positive turn in your life, you know things have gone seriously wrong. Still, his story isn't the worst one on this list. Just wait until you hear about the next winner. Alex Toth. Alex Toth struck it big in 1990 when he won a $13 million jackpot in the Florida lottery. For a while, life was good, but poor financial decisions and reckless spending quickly drained his fortune. Without making smart investments, his wealth vanished, leaving him completely broke. After losing everything, his personal life unraveled as well. His marriage fell apart and he separated from his wife. Things only got worse when he landed in legal trouble for filing false tax returns, eventually leading to a stint in a mental institution. By the time he passed away in 2008 at the age of 60, he had nothing left. His story is a cautionary tale for those who believe money guarantees happiness. As many lottery winners have discovered the hard way, managing wealth is far from simple. If you were to win the lottery, how would you spend it? What's the smartest thing to do? Share your comments. Ken Proxmire. People always say choosing annuity payments can prevent lottery winners from going broke, but that's not always the case. Ken Proxmire hit a $1 million jackpot in the Michigan State Lottery, which was a massive amount of money back in 1977. Opting for the annuity plan, he secured $50,000 per year for 14 years. That was a significant sum at the time, but not quite as much as Ken assumed. He started spending at an unsustainable pace, buying houses, cars, and businesses, while generously covering expenses whenever he went out with friends. Before long, his investments began to crumble, and his pool hall alone racked up $60,000 in debt, making his annual payout seem like mere pocket change. Looking back, Ken had some grim advice for future lottery winners. Crawl into a hole and pull the top end. Probably not the words of wisdom most people would hope for. If grown adults can destroy their fortunes this easily, imagine what happens when a teenager wins the lottery. Let's take a look at the next case. Callie Rogers. In 2003, Callie Rogers was a 16-year-old living in foster care and working at a supermarket when her life took an unexpected turn. She became the youngest lottery winner in history. With £1.9 million, about $2.3 million suddenly at her disposal, her world changed overnight. Unfortunately, that change wasn't for the better. Lacking proper guidance, Callie spent recklessly on extravagant luxuries, all while falling into a destructive lifestyle. She developed a drug habit, battled depression, and turned to plastic surgery in an attempt to boost her self-esteem, only to find that it didn't bring her happiness. She later admitted that the money left her feeling isolated, as people only seemed interested in her wealth. Strangers in bars would accept drinks from her only to sell stories about her to tabloids. In the end, she lost every penny of her winnings. Now she actively campaigns to raise the minimum age for lottery participation, hoping to prevent other young winners from making the same mistakes. Of course, Callie isn't the most well-known teenage lottery winner. Michael Carroll. At just 19 years old, British teenager Michael Carroll hit the jackpot, winning an astounding £14 million. Incredibly, he collected his winnings while still wearing a police ankle bracelet, a sign of the chaos that was about to unfold. Michael burned through his fortune at a reckless pace. He bought a mansion he wasn't even fond of, then poured even more money into expensive renovations. In his backyard, he built a demolition derby track where he delighted in wrecking luxury cars for fun. His lifestyle spiraled further out of control as he started his mornings with vodka and narcotics while hosting million-dollar sex parties at his estate, despite having a wife and child. It didn't take long for his destructive behavior to push away his family and friends. Eventually, the money ran out, and his lavish lifestyle collapsed. Fortunately for him, his wife chose to give him another chance and took him back. Looking back, Michael admitted that if he still had the money, he'd probably be dead by now. Do you think his downfall was just bad luck? Well, the next winner on our list struck it rich on Friday the 13th, so maybe he has the answer. Lou Eisenberg. Lou Eisenberg became New York's luckiest man in 1981 when he won a $5 million jackpot, the largest lottery payout the state had ever seen at the time. His life should have been set after that, but perhaps winning on Friday the 13th wasn't the best omen, because his fortune didn't bring him much luck in the long run. Instead of securing his future with smart investments or pursuing a lifelong dream, Lou squandered most of his winnings on gambling. What remained was quickly drained by divorce settlements, leaving him with nothing to show for his once massive prize. The last known reports placed him living in a mobile home, a far cry from the luxurious life one might expect from a multi-millionaire. Maybe his downfall wasn't bad luck after all, just poor choices. Still, not everyone who loses their fortune stays down for good. Some people manage to bounce back against all odds. Curtis Sharp. Curtis Sharp struck it rich in 1982 when he won a $5 million jackpot in the New York lottery. However, his story quickly became a classic case of rags to riches, and then right back again. Rather than securing his financial future, Curtis indulged in a lavish lifestyle, splurging on extravagant casino trips, flashy sports cars, and expensive gifts for friends and family. Before long, his fortune had vanished, leaving him with little to show for his once massive winnings. Today, Curtis has taken a very different path. He now serves as a minister in Tennessee, using his experience as a cautionary tale for others. His advice to future lottery winners? Walk away and clear their heads before spending any of their winnings. Considering how many former millionaires end up with nothing, his story remains relatively uplifting. That said, not every lottery winner gets a second chance. So the next story on our list is one of the most tragic. William Post. In 1988, William Bud Post III won a staggering $16.2 million in the Pennsylvania lottery. He believed his financial troubles were over, but instead his life quickly unraveled. Despite having no pilot's license, he impulsively bought a plane. He also poured money into helping a sibling launch a restaurant and a used car business, both of which failed. Meanwhile, his former girlfriend, who was also his landlord, sued him for a third of his winnings. When he refused to pay, the court froze his assets. His relationships with family members also turned toxic. with William even alleging that one of his brothers attempted to hire a hitman to kill him. It's hard to imagine things getting much worse than that. At one point, a repo man arrived to reclaim his car, and in a reckless move, William responded by opening fire. Unsurprisingly, this landed him in jail. By the time his money was gone, he was surviving on Social Security disability benefits until his death at 66. Would you tell your family if you won the lottery? Let us know yes or no in the comments. John Roberts. In 1998, John Roberts was living in government housing in Scotland when his life changed overnight. He won a massive £3.1 million jackpot, roughly $5.1 million. For anyone, that's a life-changing sum, but for someone who had never experienced wealth, it was even more overwhelming. With endless possibilities before him, John could have used his fortune wisely, but instead, he burned through it all. He splurged on luxury cars and extravagant mansions, living large without any thought for the future. To make matters worse, people he trusted took advantage of him, convincing him to invest in fraudulent schemes that drained the last of his savings. Just 3 years after his big win, he found himself completely broke, living in an aging mobile home. While it's true that his so-called friends swindled him, John never made much effort to use his money wisely. The next person on our list actually tried to do something good with their winnings, just in the most ridiculous way possible. Lisa Arcand. Lisa became a lottery winner in Massachusetts in 2004, taking home a $1 million prize. Like many before her, she spent lavishly, buying a house, going on multiple vacations, and indulging in luxury. She once hosted an extravagant dinner for 20 friends and family, ordering several bottles of wine at $200 each. She also enrolled her son in an elite school and furnished her home with high-end decor. However, Lisa quickly realized that after taxes, $1 million didn't stretch as far as she had expected. To create a sustainable income, she decided to open a restaurant. Unfortunately, with no experience in restaurant management or finance, she struggled to keep the business afloat. The venture ultimately failed, and by 2007, just 3 years after her big win, she was completely broke. The saying goes, stick to what you know, and Lisa's story proves that advice is worth following. The next person on our list, however, clung to their own ideas a little too much. Janet Lee. In 1993, South Korean immigrant Janet Lee struck it big, winning an $18 million jackpot in the Illinois lottery. However, just 8 years later, she was bankrupt, with less than $700 in her bank account and a staggering $2.5 million in debt. Her downfall wasn't due to reckless indulgence, but rather excessive generosity. Janet made large donations to political, educational, and social causes. However, philanthropy wasn't the only thing draining her fortune. Her gambling habit reportedly cost her over $300,000 annually. Still, she gave away even more money than she lost gambling. Among her many contributions was a $1 million donation to Washington University for the construction of a new library. By 2001, her wealth had completely disappeared. While she was left with nothing, at least many others benefited from her generosity. Being charitable is admirable, but perhaps there's such a thing as being too generous. The next winner also gave away a fortune, except in their case, it was a complete accident. John McGuinness. John McGuinness learned the hard way that following your heart doesn't always lead to success. In 1997, the UK man struck it rich when he won a massive £10 million jackpot, equivalent to about $16.3 million. Unlike some winners who struggled to decide what to do with their newfound fortune, John knew exactly where he wanted to invest his money. Without hesitation, he quit his job as a hospital porter and used £4.9 million to purchase his favorite football club. What he didn't realize, however, was that buying the team also meant inheriting all of its financial burdens. The club was drowning in debt, and those liabilities quickly drained his fortune. By 2009, just 12 years after his big win, he had lost everything and was struggling just to afford basic necessities. If there's one lesson to take from his story, it's this: always do your research before making a major financial decision. Another crucial lesson for lottery winners: never trust the wrong people. Marva Wilson. In 2012, Marva Wilson won a $2 million jackpot in the Missouri lottery. Managing such a large sum can be challenging, but fortunately her trusted friend Freya Pearson offered to help with financial management and taxes. Unfortunately, Pearson wasn't the friend she claimed to be. She was a con artist. She tricked Marva into signing over $400,000 of her winnings, depositing it into a bank account that Pearson had secretly set up. On top of that, she gained access to Marva's other accounts. With free rein over the money, Pearson went on a reckless spending spree, using Marva's fortune to travel, gamble, and buy luxury cars and an apartment for herself. Thankfully, her deception didn't last forever. Pearson was eventually caught, convicted, and sentenced to 5 years in prison for fraud, tax evasion, and money laundering. However, by the time justice was served, the money was long gone. Pearson had blown through every dollar in less than 2 years. It's always tragic when lottery winners fall victim to theft. But what happens when the winners themselves are the ones stealing from others? James Hayes. James Hayes was working as an overnight security guard in 1998 when his luck took a dramatic turn. He won a staggering $19 million in California's Super Lotto. However, his story quickly became one of downfall rather than prosperity. Not long after his big win, his ex-wife reportedly took half of his jackpot in their divorce settlement. Left with a dwindling fortune, James developed a costly heroin addiction, spending nearly $1,000 a week to sustain his habit. As his money ran out, he turned to crime, robbing banks to maintain his lifestyle. His methods earned him 2 FBI nicknames: the PT Cruiser Bandit for the car he drove, and the Seasoned Bandit due to his graying hair. His criminal run came to an end in 2018 when he pleaded guilty to bank robbery and received a 33-month prison sentence. By then, every cent of his lottery winnings was gone. After hearing the next story on our list, though, you might feel like the banks had it coming, even if legally we don't support that idea. Francisco Guerrero. Winning a massive jackpot means knowing exactly who to trust with your fortune. Francisco Guerrero, a humble bricklayer from Spain, had always lived modestly, but through years of hard work, he managed to buy a few properties. Then, in an instant, his life changed. He became a multi-millionaire after winning the equivalent of $8.6 million. Having never handled that kind of money before, Francisco decided to rely on his bank for guidance. Taking their advice, he placed 40% of his winnings into savings for his 4 children, while the rest was invested. The bank assured him the investment was completely safe, risk-free, and guaranteed to generate a steady 17% return each year. It sounded like the perfect plan. Rather than splurging on luxuries, Francisco continued working as usual and never touched a single cent of his prize. In fact, he barely thought about the money again until disaster struck. After injuring his knee, he went to the bank to withdraw a small sum for surgery, only to receive shocking news. His account was empty. The bank had recklessly squandered his entire fortune on a disastrous investment. But the situation was even worse than he realized. The failed investment had accumulated massive debts, leaving him not only broke but owing an enormous sum of money. As a result, he lost not just his winnings but also the properties he had worked so hard to purchase before his jackpot win. Though the courts later ruled that the bank must repay some of his lost fortune, the amount was nowhere near what he had before. Francisco's story might be one of the most heartbreaking lottery tales ever, perhaps even more tragic than murder. But we'll let you be the judge of that. Time flies, but true charisma never fades. Some of these heartthrobs are still lighting up the screen, while others chose a different path. Whether they reinvented themselves or stepped away from fame, one thing's clear: Hollywood's golden age wouldn't have been the same without them. Which transformation surprised you the most? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you love diving into Hollywood's past, don't stop here. Check out our last video, 20 Most Evil Actors in Hollywood History, on the end screen. Before you go, don't forget to like, subscribe to Iconic and turn on notifications so you never miss a deep dive into Hollywood's biggest stories. See you next time.